He's like a celebrity now. People in America idolize him. They'll wake up tomorrow and realize that their hero has wiped them out.
Well, guys, here we are. It's another year and another Call of Duty game. I feel like it's become a tradition. Like, what's Thanksgiving about? It's about turkey and what you're thankful for and shooting dudes in the face at 60 frames per second.
Yes,
I like this new tradition.
Yes.
Well, welcome everybody to the Loading Bar. We're talking about Call of Duty Black Ops 2 today. I'm Jeff, and I have with me Mr. Jason Murphy.
Howdy.
And Mr. Nick Hodges.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about Black Ops 2, which, whew, boy, guys, Black Ops 2 really, this is weird. This was a weird one.
Why is that?
Well, I've gotten so used to going into Call of Duty thinking like, this is going to be another, they're going to find some new locations, they're going to find some new things to make the story about, but it's just pretty much going to be same old, same old. But I got to say, I was, like, at least for the single player in this game, I was pleasantly surprised at what they're trying to do. Like, it seems like fucking lunacy to say this out loud, but it actually seems like Treyarch is trying to push the first-person shooter genre forward a little bit with the single-player campaign of Black Ops 2. And
yeah, because this time, instead of Russians invading the U.S., it's robots.
Hey, man, we gotta make our inroads somewhere, Jason, So, yeah, Black Ops 2, this is the story. I mean, this is, of course, the sequel to Black Ops 1. I don't really have a whole hell of a lot to do with that, but it features...
It was tied loosely.
It is tied, but it features the entire cast from Black Ops 1, apart from Ed Harris, who's been replaced by Michael Keaton.
The strangest casting swap ever in the history of mankind.
True.
How do you look at Ed Harris and go, you know who we should get? Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton...
That was Michael Keaton?
Yeah, it was. Probably because someone was like, oh, he's Batman, dude. Batman can't go wrong. And the fact that, say, you got David S. Goyer, who wrote Dark Knight Rises, writing the script, maybe it was him who was suggesting the idea of having Batman as Hudson.
Man. They should just had Batman as the lead character to the game. I think that would have been better. Just start mixing your metaphors. Anyway, Black Ops 2 is the story. It kind of takes place largely in two time periods. In the 1970s and 80s, back in the old days,
towards the end of the Cold War, like the last decade, basically.
Yeah, and then in the far-flung future of 2025, when everything's all robotized, kind of you've got your near future thing going on. Everybody's got iPads strapped to them all over the place. And it's mainly the story of a single terrorist by the name of Raul Menendez and how this motherfucker keeps getting one over on every single person in the entire universe. I don't know.
He didn't seem particularly intelligent and able to pull off all of this stuff. I mean, his primary asset was that he was fucking insane.
Yeah. Yeah,
true. He was good at saying, and he was obviously a student of literature because he kept quoting Ulysses and the Odyssey and all of that. So,
well, let's be perfectly clear here. This was written by David S. Goyer. Raul Menendez is essentially the Punisher.
What?
No, Woods is the Punisher. The Joker. He's essentially the Joker from The Dark Knight. I mean, this guy it seems like powers to plan ahead in ways that are wholly and completely unbelievable when you step back and take a look at it, but, make perfect sense.
Like 40 years ahead.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
He's even able to, predict how advanced technology will be and exactly how to get one over the United States with his small PMC company.
But you know what? I'm willing to let all of that go because, and I don't know if I even realized this in the last game, but this game has the single most crotchety old man in the history of all humanity.
Oh yes,
in Woods.
I like that guy.
He is awesome. I wish he was my grandpa, and that I could go and smoke cigarettes with him, and then have him talk to me about stuff. I mean, he's pretty much as insane as Menendez after the very beginning of the game when you kind of get it back. He's so angry. I mean, with good reason. But essentially, the story is kind of twofold. You've got a set of the story that's basically based on Alex Mason's son, David. right?
David
Yes.
Mason,
Yeah, he's Section to me. That's they call him the entire time. And there's kind of this whole family story between Woods and Mason and Menendez and his sister and all this stuff that went down in the past and his revenge, which kind of ends up being like the forefront of the story for the game. But then there's also kind of an interesting scenario about this whole, the military has been, and society in general, it seems like it's much more automated. There's a lot more technology out there, and then you kind of have this idea of a type of computing device that is able to start cracking all that encryption, and what happens when you're so reliant on this technology, but it's out of your control, yada, yada, yada. And I actually found that part to be really interesting, but I felt as the game went on that it really did take a back seat to the personal story of Mason Woods. And,
all the technology, they didn't really get into even approach like transhumanism or anything like that. It really just kind of skirted along, and our reliance on that, it wasn't really thematic or anything. It was more of a plot device.
Yeah.
Which was kind of a missed opportunity, but it was still cool, but it was, I don't know, they could have done a lot with it and made a statement that, like, say, Deus Ex tried to do but didn't,
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know. My biggest problem was the fact that with all this technology, they had not developed short-circuit type robots yet to walk around and make Three Stooges jokes. But that's just me.
Yeah, no Johnny Five. Some old bullshit.
Yes. But I wish they kind of lingered a little bit more on the political situation between the United States and China, as like a new Cold War has appeared, and it's directly responsible, that Raul Menendez is directly responsible for. And I would like to have seen a little bit more of that, like kind of the tension going on between the two political figures, like the way it was in the Cold War. But they seem to get over the differences very quickly once they pointed out who the main bad guy was.
Right. I mean, it's just kind of a shift in focus from some of especially the Infinity Ward, the Modern Warfare series, tended to seem to be, those games to me tended to be more focused on the conflict in general. Like, you are tools of this larger political conflict, whereas even in Black Ops 1, it seemed to be a more personal story about these personal characters. I mean, outside of freaking Sideburns in Modern Warfare, what the hell is that guy's name?
Price?
Price, yeah, Colonel Price. I could really give a shit who else was in that game. Like, everybody else was pretty much interchangeable.
That's a fairly good point. Yeah, I mean, like, but this one is more character driven, so you do get more of an interest in the characters. And I think that Raul Menendez really stole the show for me. I know you liked Woods, but I thought he was very interesting, and you were able to see why he was the bad guy, but also sympathize with him at the same time as to why he became a terrorist in the first place.
Well, let's be honest here. Nobody in this game holds a candle to Manuel Noriega. I mean, really.
I know. Spoiler. It's not that far into the game, I guess, but I'm playing it, and I'm like, that guy looks like Noriega. God, dude, get some dermabrasion. Go to a dermatologist. You look horrible, And then they called him Noriega. I was like, oh shit, it is him. And of course, he turns out to be a complete bastard.
Yeah. So I guess we should get down to kind of nitty gritty some of the gameplay here, at least in the single player. I mean, this, and especially in the flashback sequences, plays a lot like old Call of Duty games in the 60 frames per second, the way the enemies come at you and that kind of stuff. There is definitely a change with the stuff that happens in 2025. You have, drones and kind of heads-up display stuff. I felt like the 2025 stuff played a lot more like, let's say, like Treyarch's take on the Ghost Recon series more than Modern Warfare, because they were definitely leading on that technology as a way to say, this is how war could be in the future.
Yeah, and it really wasn't...
the invisible soldiers, that was very much like Future Soldier as well. Mm-hmm. So there's reminiscent of that.
And it wasn't a massive, unbelievable jump in technology. It wasn't like, hey, it's the future, and everyone's cloned and cyborgs and all that, because it was only 13 years out. So it was just a slight shift. It was basically an extrapolation on existing or in development technology, which I thought was a shrewd choice on their part. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they shifted the geopolitical thing, and it was really kind of a simplified action game view of it. But it was just an extrapolation of how things are already. So I thought they were really kind of played it close to the vest on that. Maybe a little too much. because I would have liked to have seen, a few more radical changes, because that's, I don't know, when you get the idea that you're playing in the future, you kind of want to see some crazy shit. And this didn't go there too much, but then again, they didn't run the risk of making it seem ludicrous in 5 years,
Let's see. Let's start getting the things that are a little bit different about this as opposed to previous Call of Duty games. One thing that I was really I thought was a big step in the right direction. It seems like such a small thing, was the ability to outfit yourself before a mission. As they give you a whole screen where you can pick what gun you want, what secondary gun you want. You can kit them out with different attachments. You could pick different perks. You could pick different grenades. You could pick different things beforehand, which is nice because sometimes in Call of Duty they would give you, you'd start a mission with some kind of like high-powered short-range shotgun and, a wiffle ball bat. And you're like, dude, come on. Just give me something that I can shoot dudes with. So that I felt like was, it's a small thing, but it was definitely an improvement on the single-player side.
It's great for replayability as well. Once you finish the game, that you've unlocked more weapons and you can complete certain challenges to get, let's say, a minigun later on, which is very cool. So,
yep. So now that we've spent a little bit of time talking about good stuff about this game, I would like to talk briefly about Strike Force.
Ugh.
That was I preferred to skip over that during my first playthrough. I just thought it was very tedious and boring. I mean, basically, it's like you have certain number of missions where you control a group of soldiers or a group of drones, and you have to complete certain objectives like protect a convoy as it's going through Afghanistan, or kill a certain political figure, and however you complete these games, these mini games, will affect the outcome of the story.
Yeah, well,
I thought it was like, well, we don't know what to do, so let's try an RTS. They won't let us do an RTS. We're going to be cranking these out until the day we die. So let's sneak an RTS into Black Ops.
No, I think that's a bit unfair. I think that they were trying to do something different, like rather than dishing out the same Call of Duty. I appreciate that. I don't think it would necessarily work because I felt whilst playing Strike Force that I was having to carry the load and all my AI companions were pretty much useless.
Yes, the largest problem with this game mode is that the AI in it is fucking broken. Like,
yeah.
You could set a giant quadrupedal tank with a minigun on its back, and it will sit there and let itself get shot unless you tell it specifically, hey, shoot these dudes, or take advantage of it, or take control of it yourself. Which, the problem with that is that these Strike Force missions come up, and they are available for a certain number of missions. Like, until you complete a certain number of story missions, you complete these specific Strike Force missions. And they actually change, like Nick said, the outcome of the game. So, in a lot of cases, you really want to do them. But, like, and what's weird is that as the game went on, there were certain ones that were much easier. When the objective was just kill this thing or blow this thing up or whatever, that was very simple. But they start you on this one that is a base defense mission, and it is such a pain in the ass. And they have limited number of retries that you can do in order to, so you can fail out of this stuff to the point where you're not going to be able to go back and try it all over again. And just like Nick said, I finally found to at the end of the day, the only way to reliably get anybody to fucking shoot at the things that were coming at them was to take control of them and do it all yourself, which made it kind of redundant in the long run. I mean, they could have just been tweaked single-player missions, or, I mean, if they had maybe more of an emphasis on multiplayer, or bringing other people in to help you, or say that whenever you get to this mission, we're going to bring in random people who are also on this mission, you guys can all work together. That would have been cool as well. But as they are, they kind of represent a little bit of a place where the whole game kind of drags a little bit.
Yeah, and I applaud them for putting that in there, but really, I just kept skipping them because they felt like distractions. Mm-hmm. It was, and I know it influenced the end of the game, but really, I thought, I don't have to do that because that's fucking dumb. So I'm not gonna do it. so I just
completely
started
agree.
skipping them after a while.
Yeah, I skipped all of them the first time round, but then the second playthrough, I just did them just to see what it was and like how, and it was quite struggling and frustrating. But should we talk about the different choices you can make throughout this game, because that's something new?
Yes, we are going to do that right now. When I talked about this game when we started out this game. When we started out, I had said that this game seemed like it was actually trying to push first-person shooter kind of choice and storytelling forward a little bit. And I really feel like, I mean, the best thing about this game is the fact that there are a number of choices throughout the game that you are able to make that have real implications towards where the gameplay is going to go and where the ending of the game is going to go. Specifically, I mean, like there's, we've played games before where there's a mission that's like, hey, Shit for Brains is escaping. Go catch him. He's running out of here. Go, go, go. And, most of the time the AI will wait and you can go and you get Shit for Brains and you catch him. But, in this game, if you don't hurry the fuck up, you lose that guy. Or, if they tell you to shoot somebody, you could shoot him in the face. You could shoot him in the leg. You could shoot him other places. And that actually makes a difference to the way the story goes in the long run. And it's interesting that this is one of the few games this year where when I was hanging out with Jason and I was saying like, well, what happened to you at the end of the game? He started telling me and I said, wow, that's completely different than what I got. Like this was totally went off in a different direction. And for that, I really got to applaud Treyarch because that's a ballsy move on their part. They could have just churned out Black Ops 2 and not done any of that stuff and nobody ever would have been the wiser. But, good job, you guys.
Yeah, there was some stuff in there that was there was some stuff where it was just like you realize later it's like, oh, that thing that I was kind of fucking around on, that was like really important. And it kind of changed the world. I wish I hadn't just like let that guy run and get away, little stuff like, do you kill this guy? There's some of them that are kind of obviously the choke points where the story will branch off. But I don't think they're ham-fisted really. You can tell, but it doesn't ram it down your throat. But yeah, it's, good job because, they actually give you some options and it does change the way that things, the outcome of things. There were even little cosmetic things that don't change your ending, that Jeff didn't experience at all that I did. So yeah, it was, there were some really, I think it was a big step forward for, FPSs because you really don't see many people doing this at all.
Yeah,
I seriously hope that they continue using this system because I think it works and makes the choices that you just make more personal, I think. And so everyone has a different ending and a different style of play. So.
And for those of you listening, if people who haven't played this yet, if you haven't made up your mind and you decide after listening to this review that you want to go play this game, I'm going to make the suggestion to you right now is do not look any of this stuff up online because you will be surprised at the things that happen that if you play this game and you talk about it with somebody else, like Jason was just saying, there are some very explicit choices, but there are some choices where I didn't even know that was a choice. Like there were plenty of places where I was playing the game the way you were expected to play a video game, and these things happened, and you come to find out that those are not the things that have to happen. And this is the most vague description of anything I've ever had to give in my entire life.
I know.
You've got the things.
Like, are we playing some sort of game here? I don't understand.
All right, well, so that's a single player. I feel like it's got a lot to offer people. I had a lot of fun playing it. It is, at its heart, if you're kind of the kind of person who's waiting for Call of Duty to make like some big sea change as far as the way that the combat flows and the way that things operate, this is not that game, but I was not a huge fan of Black Ops 1, and I really liked the single player in this game. I thought it had a lot going for it.
I actually think that this is the best Call of Duty since since COD 4. Like, I really enjoyed the campaign. I thought that, finally they're trying to push forward something that's different and, actually character driven. So it's very interesting. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, from here, we have to tackle multiplayer. Okay.
Multiplayer, which is something that I'm not particularly fond of, and neither is Jeff.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna choke back all the vitriol and the bile and stuff.
I love it. I love it, and I am actually really good at it now.
Really?
No.
Oh, okay.
Fuck no.
What the fuck? Jason's really good at Call of Duty, and I'm really good at Halo. What has happened in Q4 of this year?
I got to say, one of the positive changes that they have made, at least as far as I'm aware, is the matchmaking system. So I'm actually not as shit at multiplayer as I remember I used to be with all the other Call of Duty games. So when you enter the game, you are set up with other players who are at your same rank and same capabilities. And as you progress, you go up against players who have obviously progressed as well. So I thought it was a lot fairer. You're not put up against some douchebag who's gone to level 20 or something and kicks the shit out of you. So you don't automatically throw down your controller and just walk out with a huff saying, "This game is fucking stupid, man. Seriously."
I actually said that exact phrase at one point when I was playing it. Anyway,
No.
I think the major thing that people need to know about this, because this is largely, okay, not exactly people, but this is largely similar to Call of Duty multiplayer from years past. You've got a few new game modes. I think the biggest change here is in the kits that you can build and the layouts you can build, because instead of limiting you to a certain number of, like, you've 3 different perks and you have this, number of attachments for your gun and this type of sidearm or whatever, they kind of give you a pool of points that you can use. So you can have, say, 2 extra perks, but then no sidearm or no grenades, or you can have more attachments to your gun, but you have to sacrifice other things for that. And I think it's a pretty cool system. The same level up and kind of spending points to unlock specific things is there. You level up individual weapons. I kind of find that to be irritating, but whatever. I don't know about you guys, but I ended up on the same 2 maps almost the entire time that I played this, and I played maybe about 6 hours worth of multiplayer. I found that there was a ruined downtown level, and there was that nuclear power plant that we saw in the happy hour. Seemed to be the places that I was more often than not. So there are a few new things here, like the kill streaks have new styles of perks and things, and there's new attachments for your guns, the same kind of stuff we're talking about in the single player game that you can get. But all in all, I don't think that if you're the kind of person who is not a fan of the multiplayer for Call of Duty, once again, I don't think this is going to be this is not changing things to the point that you're going to want to come into it.
Yeah, this is a very rich experience, and you can get very granular in customizing everything. So for those people who play the hell out of it, and there are many, they have a lot of options, and it's kind of to that Diablo point where it's like, let's find the perfect balance of all of our gear, and let's level up each individual one. And so you can keep focusing on that if that's your thing. Me, I was focusing on not sobbing uncontrollably because I was playing and it was like, okay, here we go. I got this. Shit, I'm dead. Okay. All right, here we go. Got this. There's a guy on the fuck. Okay. Yeah. All right, here we go. Got it now. Damn it. That's what it was, over and over. But sometimes I would do well on a map and I'm like, okay, I got this. And then the game's like, no, you don't. Here's the humiliation round where it's -5 XP for you. It was just so painful. And like we've talked about, and like you said, Jeff, it's like this is probably really fun if you're good at it, and you can get good at it. And people say, well, you have to practice. You have to practice. I'm like, and like you said, and I agree wholeheartedly. I do not want to practice at something where the practice is not fun.
Sure.
And this is not. It's just brutal and unforgiving.
Yeah.
So, if you're some sort of savant and can pick it up from tabula rasa and just start going and being good at it, great. Or if you're already into it and you've been playing Call of Duty multiplayer steadily for the last couple of years and you're good at it, excellent. But the barrier of entry here is thick and deep, and so it's going to be very punishing.
This is all very true. And
the addition of the weapons the new weapons is really cool as well. I just wanted to say, because since the game is also set in 2025, it's actually helps multiplayer become a little bit easier. Like there's a target finder that you can place on the assault rifle, or what I do is I just nick other people's target finders, and it actually points out on the screen exactly where the enemy is if you've got him near your crosshair. So that did make it as frustrating as I thought it was going to be.
I think at the end of the day, the word here is, if you are not already a fan of this multiplayer and you want to get into it, you just got to be ready to play the game, and it's probably not going to be fun for a while, because in all honesty, I was not having any fun when I played it. I was getting better at it, and I could see that was happening, but my own personal philosophy is one that I don't want to play a game that's not fun in order to get fun, just like Jason said. I think there are plenty of games that you can play that are fun from the minute you say go, and I'm much more interested in that. So hopefully from all this, you guys can make your own minds up as to whether or not you're interested in this. So finally, we're going to talk about zombies. And since I did not play zombies, you two go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, this is, I don't know, Zombies is fun. I kind of liked it at points. I think it'd be a lot more fun if you're playing with friends. It's something where if you're playing by yourself, it really just kind of sucks.
It's fucking impossible. You can't play by yourself. You need to have, like, other people.
You do.
You're gonna die in 5 seconds flat.
You do. It's very lonely. It's very horrible. But yeah, Zombies is definitely, it feels like it. You can tell that this is a cobbled together add-on. Because it started off as, Treyarch just saying, hey, you know what would be fun and easy? Let's put this in there. And not to say they didn't put a lot of effort into it, but it really was kind of a sub, just a side note to the franchise. But with its massive popularity, they've really started expanding it and trying to make it more of a broader experience and have more options and various modes of gameplay within the zombie mode. And as a result, it feels very, very kludgy. It's like they just glued together a bunch of other stuff. So the game feels kind of clumsy and clumsily designed. It can be fun, but it's not a very smooth experience. Would you agree, Nick?
I would agree with that. I do have to say that the levels are definitely bigger because you have a transit mode as opposed to the usual survival mode where you and a group of survivors move from place to place on a bus and you have to stop zombies getting onto the bus. So a little bit of change there, which I'm always, that's always welcome with me. But overall, it is pretty much the very same experience that you've gotten from the other zombie modes.
Yeah, it's weird because they give you the illusion that the areas are bigger, but really it's just a couple of pockets, that you can fight within. But you've got your standard survival mode where you're in like a diner or something like that, and you have to board the windows up as the zombies are coming in. And you can have a lot of fun with it because you have this Alamo/Assault on Precinct 13 siege moments to where things are getting very desperate. You're running out of ammunition. The zombies are coming in from all sides. Very Night of the Living Dead, the original 67 one. But then you have the grief mode where you're fighting against, where there's two teams against each other and you can't directly hurt the other team, but you can throw meat at them.
I didn't know you could do that, but
yeah,
that's malicious, that.
And the zombies, you can basically fuck with them as the zombies are trying to get them.
Yeah, but why would you do that, though? You need the other guy to back you up. That doesn't sound very smart, just to chuck meat towards another player.
Well,
it's you.
It's two teams and it's competitive.
Oh, fair dues. Yeah, forget about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's something.
Yeah. But you also don't want to leave the house. They actually have a reason for you not leaving the house now. Like, there are these creatures that, like, kind of hump your head, basically. Like, I don't know what they are, but they just hump you, and they hump the shit out of your face.
Yeah, they're like the jockeys from Left 4 Dead. Yeah. But yeah, the transit mode is, there's this bus that comes along from area to area and picks you up, and it's like the Total Recall bus, because there's this, like, the bus driver's like this robotic cabbie. He's like, hey, get on board. But he's a fucking moron, because he'll just, like, park in the lava, because there's, like, lava everywhere now. And he'll just, like, park in the lava, and it's like, why did you park in the fire? I'm on fire now! In the bus! And there's zombies jumping on the bus! This can't get worse, robot! Get the fuck out of here!
The fire thing didn't really help out. That was more annoying than nerve-wracking, because your screen is all muddled up, and you can't see what you're doing. You have to wait for the fire to go out, so... That could have done. We could have done without that, I think.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
it's interesting, but it feels very clumsy. It's not something you would buy the game for. There's a lot to do there in zombie mode, but I don't know. I think they need a from the ground up redesign of it to really streamline it to where it can stand on its own as a worthwhile feature. As it is, it's kind of a distraction, I think.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and give some ratings, why don't we? Nick, how about kick us off here?
Okay, well, I really enjoyed this. Like I said, I think this is the best Call of Duty since Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. Loved what they've done with the story. I think the multiplayer was a lot easier for me this time around, so I appreciated that. Not a big fan of the zombie mode, but just based off the single player alone, on the great variety of missions and how you have a breather every now and again. Not every single mission is basically horde mode or whatever. So I'm going to have to give this a high full price.
Okay. Jason?
Me too. I like it. I mean, I think Treyarch is really trying to to kind of push the boundaries. They're adding new stuff in there and different methods of gameplay to where you see something where they've got a formula and they're like, okay, we've got this down. We've got the Call of Duty formula down. So let's, without betraying what's already there and what's good about it, let's go ahead and really enhance it and add new stuff to it and just kind of broaden the appeal. Now, some of these aren't really successes all the time, but they get an A for effort, and they really don't harm the core of the game. And if you like the multiplayer, it's Call of Duty multiplayer, it's still there. And then you've got the afterthought of zombies, which some people love. So, I think there's a lot of bang for your buck here, really. But the single player alone is worth it. I think it's pretty fantastic. So, I give it a full price.
Okay. I'm going to go, I think, with just a regular old full price here. I felt like this, it's funny seeing the things that we've talked about, the things that they've kind of been pushing the envelope of trying to get this stuff to be a little bit more interesting and to maybe push the formula of FPSs out a little bit. I wish they would have done a little bit more with that, but I'm not going to count off from that. As it is, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the zombie mode. I feel like if they wanted to do it, it should have been a little bit more. I played a little bit of it, and from what I played, I felt like it should have been a little bit more stretched out, a little bit more firmly realized. The multiplayer is pretty much the same old as it has been from before, with a few, decent enough change to make it feel good, to make it feel still worthwhile. But I'll be honest, the whole package is starting to get a little bit repetitive, and I hope that in the future they start to take a few more chances. Like they've started taking chances here. Keep going, guys. Take some more chances. I am all for it. So,
spoken like a newly indoctrinated Halo fanboy.
Well, I'm going to give it a full price, but you know what? I'm going to give a fuck you to Jason and Nick.
Nick?
That fucking video outside, like after the end credits.
God, I'm glad you mentioned that.
Oh, wait, are you talking about the music video?
Is the worst thing I've seen all year.
Spoiler.
No one gives a shit. It's fucking bollocks. Why did they slap it on? I thought there was a
so
point
bad.
they were trying to make. Yeah, it was 5 minutes I'm never going to get back. I was like, okay, what's the point? There's going to be something important going on here. It's going to segue into something cool. No, it doesn't. It's just a really shitty-ass rock and roll song.
If that is what this game thinks that Black Ops players are big fans of, then I don't want to be a big fan of Black Ops anymore, because I just watched that and felt so dirty. So dirty.
I know it's meant to be cute and stupid and goofy. Instead, it's just like, oh, fuck you, Treyarch. It's just like I got rickrolled.